overall assessment, you guys are right there, but then the last few minutes gets away from you. Just your thoughts.
Well, Mayor, really, I think he made 3 threes in that stretch. He really hurt us. We hurt ourselves. We continually stub our toe when you miss an enormous amount of 1-footers, 2-footers around the rim. And it's not like they had a great shot blocker. It's more understandable if there's a great shot blocker in there, but they don't have a great shot blocker, and this has been a habitual problem.
So you said habitual, so how do you improve there, or do you can you?
I don't have to improve. I made them when I played. Also, when I missed shots, I got in the gym, be it the old field house, be it here, be it somewhere, I got in the gym. I hear the ball bounce and I look down there. I kind of want to see one of our guys down there working on this game. It's Kevin Jones, or it's Devin Williams, or it's Joanne Staten, or it's Alex Ruoff. They're not our guys. We're asking guys who never played at this level to step up, and then because they don't or they can't, places a huge burden on JB and Taz and Sean to score. That makes it hard.
Kind of going off that, did you get to a point tonight where you just couldn't really trust any of the bigs? I mean,
We had DC in the game. We had DC in the game. At the end, when we were down 10, we had to try to make some threes and stop them. And DC's not the guy to make a three. Was that mine?
I don't think so.
I don't think it was mine. I think I missed it this time.
Last couple games, Malik's given you points. You seen something from him lately? Obviously.
Yeah, he's really competed. I think he's turned it up in practice. You know, he's really good at getting the ball at the basket. That's kind of what I think makes it a little bit more frustrating is, you know, when he gets it at the rim, which he does quite frequently, and he's not going to make all of them over all those bigs, but if he gets it over them and on the rim, those guys that went to block the shot are no longer there to rebound, and we still can't rebound it and score. We've just got some areas, you know, that we got to improve in. We were horrible free throw shooters, as you know, early, and we've shot the free throws pretty well here of late because guys who now are coming in early and staying late, shooting free throws. I don't know. You know, it's kind of like I told them. You know, I mean, I played the game my whole life until I got into coaching, and I've coached for 40 years. It doesn't happen by accident. You know, it's a game of neuromuscular integration. It's a game of muscle memory. And if you're not in there doing it, obviously you don't give your muscles a chance to figure it out, you know. And so it's a game, and it's a game of repetition. It demands repetition. And until you give it that repetition, it's not going to be very good for you. And we've gone through this before, and it's not their fault. I mean, I think a lot of them don't know. You know, a lot of them was the big fish in a small pond. They didn't have to. I mean, DC, for example, is the leading shot blocker in the country. He's obviously not going to be the leading shot blocker in our league. I mean, he still blocks shots, but he's not going to be the leading shot blocker in our league. You got to put time in, man.
Well, this is going to sound silly, but is there a way to work on making 1-footers, 2-footers? So I imagine if you do it in practice, it's not the same as having a guy 6'10", 250 trying to.
You know, I'm going to tell a story just because Bob always writes these things about me telling stories and being a great storyteller. But didn't you say great storyteller?
Great story.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Fortune was missing layups, you know, and he was kind of crotching it. He was hitting it like in that between the rim and the backboard, and I kept trying to say, you got to get your head up. You got to look where you're shooting the ball, man. Get your head up. Get your head on the rim. Get your head on the rim. See the rim. And then I had a pad down there, and I was still fairly young then, and he knocked me all over the place. And so I went and got a football tackle, and he said, can I bring in a couple other guys? And I said, yeah. So Danny had three of our football tackles. I don't know if they were defensive or offensive tackles, but they were big dudes. He did it every day. He did it every day before practice. He got those guys in there, and and they hit him now. And it got to where they're like, Coach, he's killing us. We can't do anything with him. Now, we don't have anybody with Danny's physique, obviously, but still, I mean, he was the guys that excel at this game are guys that put time in. And you know, this guy, he goes from being a guy just an okay player to being an All-American, to being a first-team All-American, to being a first-round draft pick, to playing whatever it was, 13, 14 years in the NBA. But he deserved it. He put the time in. That's the point. You guys know that. I mean, you're not going to be good at anything if you don't practice your craft. You're not going to be good at it, whatever it is. Doesn't matter what it is.
So you're looking for big bodies to pose your guys, or is it just making sure that they are just working on footwork?
If I had those kind of guys hit the guys we got now, they'd be laying on their back. We'd never get them up again. I mean, they got to be able to score through contact. And you know, I've done this enough. I understand that contact brings the ball down. I mean, you can have good intentions about putting it in the square, and right in the middle of the square, whatever, and when you get hit, that contact brings the arc of the ball down. So you have to learn to aim higher if you're going to get contact.
Baylor's,
It's not one of my best, but
Good enough.
that one disappoints you.
Get me through the night.
first half, early on, Baylor's advantage, points in the paint, I think was 14-0. How much of that plays into, just, what you weren't getting or seeing from your inside guys? How much of a difference does that make?
Justin, what sticks out to me is all the times that we had shots from a foot away and we didn't make them in the second half. I mean, it's crazy how You know, and it's like, well, you know, it rolled off the front of the rim. Yeah, it rolled off the front of the rim because you didn't get it over the rim. You know, we just got to get, we got to get a better, we got to do a better job of you know, the eye of the tiger. I honestly thought with all those bigs that, you know, we can run through, that they would compete among themselves, you know, and that really hasn't happened. Really hasn't happened.
What is a team like Baylor losing 2 straight at home going into this? I mean, you know, they did that at full strength. What does a team like that going through those kind of struggles say about the strength and the difficulties of this league?
I didn't understand exactly what you asked me.
Oh, sorry. What does a team like Baylor losing 2 straight at home going into this game? What does that say about the strength and difficulties presented on a day-to-day, game-by-game basis in this league?
It's a great league. I mean, I haven't said anything but that. You know, the difference in this league is because it's a small league, we don't have bad teams. We just don't have bad teams, and we don't, and we have great coaching. You know, when we were in the Big East, when we were in the Big East, the big boys played each other a lot more than what the middle group did, and the end of them hardly played them at all because they were trying to get as many teams as they could get into the NCAA tournament. So, you know, with us, you can't do that. I mean, because the league's so hard. And think of the coaches in this league. I mean, I went in there. First time I went in and sat down. I started looking around the table, and I'm thinking, wow. You know, I think there was at that time there was 6 or 7 coaches that were Final Four coaches, and several, multiple Final Fours. It's a great coached league, and the players are good. We have this thing that we show recruits that didn't come from the league. It came from one of those guys that keep track of such things. This league has had more #1 picks than any other league. And when you think this is the smallest league, and it had the most first-round picks, it also had the most first picks in the draft. It also had the most people drafted. And when you think that this is a 9-10 team league, whatever, and some of those leagues are 20, and this league continues year after year after year to put more people in the league. It says a lot about the league. It says a lot about the coaching in the league, the recruiting in the league, and how hard the league is. It's hard. We don't have a gimme. There's no gimmies in this league. You know, what Kansas State? People say, oh, well, what about Kansas State? Kansas State just beat somebody, and they will continue to beat people through the league because Bruce can really coach, and they've got good players.
Does that help keep things in perspective of all? I mean, even though it's been 2 in a row, it's also been against 2 teams who could be in the Final Four in April.
I guess. I have a history of kind of looking at the bad and not relishing the good. I definitely am.
Well, you said yesterday Kaz wasn't 100%. You seem to have better pep today. Your thoughts on where he was?
He still doesn't. He's still not what he was. You can really see it when you know how good he was early when he had the ball, and he would bounce it hard at the guy and kind of get the guy back on his heels, and then all of a sudden, bam, he's in the air and he's making shots. He's not doing that now. And when, you know, when you're running up and down the way you run up and down in basketball, first thing to go is your legs. First thing to weaken is your legs. Now when you're coming off of, I guess, a major sickness, I guess you would call it that, it's going to take some time. So he's not the Taz Sherman that we had at the beginning of the year. He'll get there because he'll work out. He wants to get there, but I mean, I can't fault their effort. I mean, you know, you go in and JB's dead tired, you know, but JB's playing multiple positions. Playing multiple positions offensively, playing multiple positions defensively. And he has to for us to be able to have a chance to win.
Coach Cryer for Baylor picked up 3 fouls in the first half, and then picked up his 4th in the second half, but then still, you know, kind of kept going. What did he help Baylor do tonight, the way he was able to keep playing? What did you think of his game tonight?
He made shots.
Yeah.
I mean, the other stuff you have to ask those guys down there. Sometimes they see the game different than I do.
Anything else?
Bob, Malik's scoring well and shooting a bunch, but I would imagine maybe the next thing for him is taking advantage of that, and then if he can get open, like easy shots, step-in stuff from Taz and Sean, that would certainly help them and the offense too.
Well, he can do more than that. I mean, he has scored the ball, and I mean, thank God he has scored the ball because we're struggling to score. But a guy like that, I think that the great thing they do to help bigs, Mike, is they make people help up. So you can't stand back there because he's good enough just to pull up and shoot it in. And so you have to come towards him. So he's got people coming forward, which really should enable our guys in the back to be inside to rebound. You know, the best way to rebound is be the closest guy to the ball. Well, if you're inside, you should be the closest guy to the ball. You should be blocking those guys out, and you have every advantage to block them out and get second shots. So he does that for us. We just don't take advantage of it the way we need to take advantage of it.
I bring that up because I think it was maybe yesterday, well, maybe it was 2 days ago, Sean said that not having Deuce and some of the things that he can do to create, that's made it harder on them to, you know, they're not as open as often. There's 2 fewer eyes on Deuce than sit on them instead. Do you feel like that's maybe the closest thing to like the threatening presence of the ball in his hand?
Sean's a guy who needs an angle. He needs an angle to score. You know, I wish we could run him off of screens and run single doubles and staggers and all that stuff for him. The problem, Mike, is you have to have somebody to deliver the ball. You know, and it's so much easier to score the ball when you're coming off a screen. And the ball's there when it's supposed to be there, and you know what I'm saying? Or as we do sometimes, the ball flies out of bounds before you get to where you're supposed to be because some guys just toss it out of bounds, you know, kind of thing. Well, that he's supposed to be coming off of this screen. Well, he's got to be able to get there. You know, and I think the other thing that happens is if they lead you too much, now you catch the ball going away from the basket. You understand what I'm saying? So you're coming off a screen. Now the only catch you can make is going away from the basket. Well, now it's hard. That's hard to catch it, turn square, face it. Now you've lost your advantage, and that's why passing the ball is so important. And we don't have people who pass the ball that well.
Thanks, Coach.
Mhm.